So my background is in sculpture, and I work with recycled materials and found objects, which means I'm constantly working with a very broad range of materials. One week I might be working with something like plastic bottles. Another week I might be working with a collection of old toy cars from my childhood. Recycled materials as an art medium arguably has a history that goes back about 100 years. So if you compare that to something like carving with stone or clay, for example, it's a relatively new way of working. I'm actually very interested in history, and that's probably one of the reasons I work the way I do. I'm aware that when you pick up clay, for example, you're also picking up thousands of years worth of rules and conventions, which I find quite intimidating and overwhelming. When you're doing something with plastic bottles, for example, there's a certain amount of experimentation and invention as part of the process. Sometimes that means that everything you make can become a prototype. So this process can sometimes be quite slow. The upside of that is because you're constantly reinventing the wheel, if you like, every now and again you'll stumble across a new technique or a new way of working that's quite unique. When you're making things from recycled materials, the content of the work isn't just in the thing you're making or the thing that it represents, it's also in the details of the materials you've chosen and the way you've put them together. At the moment, I'm living with my 88-year-old mother in the house where I grew up. This studio was my deceased dad's garden shed. Behind me, I've got a cabinet full of tobacco tins containing screws, nuts and bolts. So for me, they've got this special authenticity to them. Now, obviously, it's not an authenticity that anyone else would notice, but it sometimes makes me work in a more considered way. I probably will only use these screws if I think it's for something that's worthwhile and meaningful.